Flames rise into the night sky. A massive oil tanker burns, its hull cracked, its deck swallowed in fire. Black smoke pours upward, choking the horizon. The sea reflects the flames, turning the water into liquid fire. A U.S. Navy destroyer cuts through the darkness nearby. Multiple fast contacts, closing fast. The voice comes through sharp, controlled, but underneath it, something is wrong. Radar screens explode with movement. Small targets, too many, too fast. Then, the interference begins. Static floods the communication channels. Signals distort. Orders become fragments. And then, silence. The Strait of Hormuz, just 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, a corridor through which nearly 1/5 of the world's oil must pass. Every hour, massive tankers move through this choke point. Every hour, the global economy depends on it staying open. But tonight, it feels like a battlefield. U.S. forces are here, some of the most advanced military assets ever built. Guided missile destroyers, surveillance aircraft, drones circling high above, watching everything. And yet, they hesitate. Because this is not open ocean. This is controlled chaos. The coastline looms in the distance, dark, jagged, silent. Somewhere within those mountains, something is watching back. Something prepared. The fast boats get closer. No formation, no warning, just movement. The destroyer's crew prepares for engagement. Weapon systems activate. Eyes scan the darkness. But no one fires. Not yet. Because in this place, the first shot could change everything. This is not just a naval encounter. This is a trigger. The question is not whether the United States can enter the strait. It already has. The real question is, why can't it take control of it? And if it tries, what happens next? At dawn, the strait looks peaceful. The water is calm, the sky stretches endlessly. Massive cargo ships move slowly, deliberately, as if nothing has changed. But this calm is deceptive, because every inch of this passage is watched. The northern coastline rises sharply, rocky cliffs, dry mountains, scattered outposts. From a distance, it looks empty, abandoned. It is not. Hidden within those ridges are missile batteries, some buried deep underground, others mounted on mobile launchers, constantly shifting positions. They do not need to be seen. They only need to be ready. Every ship that enters the strait is tracked. Its speed, its direction, its origin, its destination. Nothing moves unnoticed. For decades, Iran has prepared for this exact environment not by trying to match the United States in open combat, but by turning geography into a weapon. This is not a battlefield designed for dominance. It is designed for disruption. Naval mines can be deployed within hours. Some drift silently beneath the surface, invisible until it's too late. Others rest on the seabed, waiting. Then there are the boats. Small, fast, hard to detect. Individually, they are weak. But together, they become something else entirely. A swarm. They can surround a warship in minutes, strike from multiple angles, disappear just as quickly. And above it all, missiles. Anti-ship systems capable of launching from land, targeting vessels with precision. Fired from different locations at once, forcing defenses to split, to react, to fail. In this space, size becomes a liability. Large ships cannot maneuver easily. They cannot hide. They become targets the moment they enter. Speed becomes survival. The U.S. Navy understands this. They've studied it for years, simulated it in controlled environments, run countless war games trying to predict how a real conflict would unfold. Each time, the outcome is the same. Control of the strait would not be quick. It would not be clean. It would be layered, chaotic, and constant. And once it begins, there is no easy way out. In warfare, timing is everything. The first strike often decides who controls the battlefield. But in the Strait of Hormuz, the first strike is a problem no one can fully solve. If the United States moves to take control, it must act fast. Missile sites would need to be neutralized, coastal defenses eliminated, naval threats cleared, shipping lanes secured, all within hours. But here's the reality. The enemy does not wait to be found. Missile launchers are mobile. They move constantly, hidden during the day, relocated at night, fired and then gone before retaliation can arrive. Attack boats blend with civilian traffic, fishing vessels, commercial ships. From a distance, they look identical, until they're not. And mines? Mines don't need to be seen. They don't need to be guided. They just need to be there. The moment U.S. forces begin mobilizing, they expose themselves. Aircraft carrier symbols of overwhelming power become high-value targets. Destroyers fast, lethal become vulnerable in confined waters. Every movement is watched, every action anticipated. And then comes the real danger: overreaction. In a space this tight, this volatile, a single mistake can spiral out of control. A missile fired in defense hits the wrong target. A civilian vessel is misidentified. A response comes too fast or too late. And suddenly, it's no longer contained. Oil supply is disrupted. Prices surge across the globe. Economies feel the shock within hours. Allies are pulled in. Regional tensions explode. What began as a military operation becomes something far larger. The strait stops being a tactical objective. It becomes a trigger. And once that trigger is pulled, there is no way to predict how far the consequences will spread. It starts with one contact, then 5, then 20, and suddenly, the radar is full. Dozens of fast-moving objects cut across the water, closing the distance at high speed. No formation, no pattern, just chaos. The boats are small, low to the surface, difficult to track, each one armed. Rockets, heavy machine guns, explosives strapped to their frames. They don't fight like a navy. They fight like a swarm. A U.S. warship is built for power, long-range engagement, advanced targeting systems, layered defenses. But here, in close quarters, that advantage begins to shrink. Targets move too quickly, too unpredictably. Weapon systems struggle to prioritize. Which one do you fire at first? Which one carries the real threat? Seconds matter. Hesitation costs lives. The swarm closes in. Some boats veer off suddenly, drawing attention. Others press forward, using confusion as cover. And then above, drones hover silently, feeding real-time data back to unseen operators, watching movements, tracking responses. From the coastline, missile systems prepare to fire. They don't need to launch yet. They just need to wait for the right moment. And beneath the surface, another threat drifts silently. Mines, invisible, unpredictable. One wrong turn, one miscalculated maneuver, and a ship can be crippled instantly. Now the battlefield is layered. Threats from every direction, above, below, around. There is no safe angle, no clear front line. The most advanced navy in the world is forced into something it rarely experiences. Defensive survival. Not advancing. Not controlling. Just reacting. Trying to stay alive in a space designed to break even the strongest force. Inside the ship, alarms don't stop. They blend together into a constant, deafening signal. Red lights flash across control panels. Voices overlap orders, confirmations, warnings. But clarity is slipping. Radar screens are crowded. Too many contacts, too much movement. No single direction feels safe. You are surrounded, but you cannot see who is attacking you. Communications begin to break down. Static cuts through transmissions. Messages arrive incomplete, delayed, sometimes not at all. Decisions have to be made instantly with limited information. Training takes over. Crew members move with precision, executing protocols drilled into them for years. But beneath that discipline, something else is building. Fear. Because this is not a traditional battlefield. There are no clear enemies, no defined zones. Every small boat could be a threat. Every shadow on the water could carry danger. And if something goes wrong, if the ship takes a hit, if it loses power, if it becomes stranded in this narrow, hostile corridor, rescue becomes a mission of its own. Because help cannot simply arrive. It has to fight its way in, through the same threats, the same chaos, and there is no guarantee it will succeed. For the crew, the realization is quiet, but heavy. Out here, in the strait, you are never truly in control. You are exposed. And if the situation turns, you may be on your own. Long before ships enter the strait, the battle has already begun. It doesn't start with gunfire. It starts with information. Satellites orbit silently above, capturing movement along the coastline, tracking vehicles, identifying patterns, searching for anything that looks out of place. Signals intelligence units monitor communications, listening for changes, disruptions, coded messages. Cyber teams attempt to penetrate networks, disrupt systems before they can activate. The goal is not just to fight the enemy. It is to blind them, to slow them, to break their ability to respond. But this opponent has adapted. Command structures are not centralized. They are scattered, redundant. If one node is destroyed, another takes over. If one system fails, another continues operating. Missile units operate independently. Boat crews act on pre-planned instructions. The system is designed to survive chaos, to function even when communication is lost. And then there is the psychological battlefield. Warnings are issued. Demonstrations of force are staged. Missiles tested, ships shadowed, aircraft tracked. Every action sends a message. Every message carries the same meaning. This environment belongs to us. Entering the strait is not the challenge. Leaving it is. For decision-makers watching from command centers thousands of miles away, the picture is clear but incomplete. They see movements, heat signatures, data streams, but they do not feel the pressure building in real time. They do not hear the alarms. They do not see the swarm closing in. And yet, they must decide, escalate, or hold back. Because once the next step is taken, there is no undoing it. There is always a plan. In secure rooms, far from the strait, scenarios are built with precision. Strike packages are mapped out, targets identified, timelines calculated down to the minute. Missile sites would be hit first, precision strikes designed to eliminate threats before they can respond. Air superiority would follow, fighter jets controlling the skies, suppressing any resistance. Naval forces would move in next minesweepers clearing safe paths, warships securing the corridor. On paper, it works. Every step is accounted for, every variable considered. But war does not follow paper. The moment the operation begins, uncertainty takes over. Hidden launchers survive the first wave. Boats launch from unexpected locations. Mines appear where none were detected before. Timelines slip. And in war, time is everything. The longer the operation takes, the more the situation changes. Global markets react instantly. Oil prices surge. Shipping halts. Insurance rates skyrocket. Nations begin to respond not just militarily, but politically. Allies call for restraint. Rivals look for opportunity. Pressure builds. The objective begins to shift. What started as a mission to take control becomes something else entirely. A mission to contain, to stabilize, to prevent escalation. Because the cost of continuing may outweigh the cost of stopping. And suddenly, the plan that looked flawless on paper becomes a risk no one is willing to take. The operation exists. It is ready. But it remains exactly where it started, unexecuted. The reality is not about weakness. The United States has the power, the technology, the reach. But power alone is not enough here. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a location. It is a system built on geography, preparation, and risk. The waters are narrow. The threats are layered. The consequences are global. Taking control would not be a single operation. It would be a constant presence. Endless patrols, continuous monitoring, permanent exposure to attack. Every day would carry risk. Every movement would require caution. Victory would not come as a moment of success. It would become a burden to maintain. And the cost would extend far beyond the military. Global trade would feel the pressure. Energy markets would react to every shift. Political tensions would rise with every incident. In this narrow corridor, no action exists in isolation. Everything echoes outward. And decision makers understand this. Because sometimes the strongest move is not the one that shows power, but the one that avoids a situation where power cannot guarantee control. Today, the strait remains open. Ships pass through it every hour, massive tankers carrying millions of barrels of oil. From a distance, it looks routine, normal, but that normal is fragile. U.S. warships remain nearby, positioned carefully, watching everything. Their presence is constant, quiet, controlled. On the other side, defenses remain active. Missile systems ready, boats prepared, eyes watching from the coastline. Both sides understand what is at stake, because they have seen how quickly tension can rise here, how fast a situation can spiral. One mistake, one miscalculation, one moment where restraint fails, and everything changes. The Strait of Hormuz would no longer be just a passage. It would become the center of a conflict the world cannot ignore, a place where global stability hangs in the balance, where power meets limitation, where control becomes an illusion, and where every decision carries consequences far beyond the horizon. For now, the balance holds. Ships continue moving, forces remain ready, and the world moves forward unaware of how close it stands to the edge. Because in this narrow stretch of water is measured in seconds. The difference between peace and war is measured in seconds.